Good morning. This is August 26th, the Transportation Authority Calhoun County Board meeting, and I'll call it to order. And Vivian, would you do a roll call, please? Here.
Amy, here. Maya,
Here.
Vivian, here. Eric, Jamesha.
We
Are not so.
have a quorum. Thank you. Approval of the agenda. Anything that needs to be added or taken off from technical staff and whatever we're calling everybody now. So anybody want to add anything? Okay. Moving on, we got the approval of the minutes of 3 different meetings: the July 22nd, 2025, August 6th special meeting, and the work session of August 12th. Any revisions that anybody found in those minutes? Oh, right. I said we have an agenda, but yes. Can I get a motion to approve the agenda? Sorry about that. I'm moving along to it. Okay, you ready, Matt? All in favor of approving the agenda, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? We have an agenda. Thank you.
Loud.
I got to go to Grand Rapids here after this. So, welcome, Janesha. Okay, on to what I just said a few minutes ago about the approval of the minutes. Any changes? And thank you, Matt, for doing those. So I will take a motion on the approval of the 3 minutes, 3 sessions.
So moved, sir.
Support.
A motion support to approve the 3 different meetings we had. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Okay. Public comments on agenda items. Okay, we'll move on. We don't, nothing on the consent agenda. The finance and budget report. Any questions for Maya? May have. Oh, okay.
No questions from anyone? Okay. I would just like to say before Mallory speaks on the Manor course, I don't say their name.
Maynard Costerson.
Maynard Costerson, they did a walkthrough with us and showed us about the program that they're presenting, and it is awesome. I'm excited. I'm excited for the team to be able to learn this system, and I'm ready for the next steps and where it goes. So yes.
Okay. Before we leave the finance and budget report, I know here at Marshall, the finance and budget report, payment of bills and all that is usually on the consent agenda because very seldom do we have any comments. I'm not sure to the ladies who have been the treasurers if you would want to move it there, if you want to keep it separate.
I don't know. I've not thought about that.
Oh, think about it and then maybe we can look. But I know here at the city, it's always been on the consent agenda. I do not know how Battle Creek or Albion or Springfield.
It is the same for us.
Consent?
Yeah. Okay.
It's not separate. No.
Okay. So something to think about for future. Not that we want to speed the meetings long, but it's just an easy way because I think we'll be putting some stuff in the consent in the future.
All righty.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Public hearings and subsequent board action. We don't have any anything there. Unfinished business. Update on marketing communication.
Good morning. We have been making some great progress on marketing. The King Media team has made some improvements to the website. We expect those improvements to go live today. A frequently asked questions page, as well as an updates page that will include our press release that they drafted after the August 6th meeting. And then We've finalized our first campaign. So our campaign is called Let's Ride. And we have an opportunity to really get behind the momentum of Ride Calhoun with some printed materials, radio spots, things like that. We've finalized, given all the approvals for that, as well as all of the vehicle wraps. So they are working now on actually speccing out those vehicle wraps so we can contract with a company to do the wraps. Obviously, it's going to take us a minute to get through all of those vehicles, but our goal is to have at least one vehicle done before we have our community engagement days in September. And then lastly, things like business cards, letterhead, envelopes, things like that that we need in order to function and do business. They've drafted all of that. So we've given them the go-ahead on almost everything they've presented to us so far, as well as their scope of work. One of the things that we did ask them to include in their scope of work that was different from the RFP is an annual report. So as we focus on communicating with the public and remaining transparent, we've asked King Media to help us at the end of the year provide an annual report each year that the community, excuse me, the community can look at and see both from a financial perspective, a service perspective, and just as an organization, the services that we're providing to the community in one nicely put together report. So that is included. That was something new that we added to that scope of work. That will be published on our website, and then obviously something that would be shared with the board. So we should be ready at the next meeting to unveil the Let's Ride campaign and some of those materials. And then as we prepare the community engagement days, we'll work on some swag and things for people to take with them after those events. So if you have not replied to a doodle poll or an email for gauging availability in September, I will check with you at the end of this meeting so that we can finalize a date for those two events.
What if we haven't received that?
I started with a small group to pick some dates before I just sent out a ton. So, yep.
The annual report, will it be based on our budget year or the calendar year?
Budget year.
Budget.
So it would be an October through September annual report.
Okay.
Yep. Are there any other questions?
Is there a rollout date for swag, so to speak? Because, you know, a festival is coming up in my home. So just wondered if we should enter the parade.
We have a meeting with King Media every Friday, so we can check with them this Friday and see what types of items they're suggesting. I know we've talked about some things. We always do the squishy buses and stuff like that, but we've talked about some things that people could use on board the vehicles. So shopping totes and grocery bags, things like that, multi-purpose. So we'll engage with them on Friday and see what they recommend and what that turnaround time is.
Yeah, the date is the 20th of September.
Okay.
Will the one wrap be done by the 20th?
It should be. Right now, we have the week of September 8th held with Allegra, one of the wrap companies. We just need King Media to get that design done for them to be able to print and wrap.
That would be great.
Yeah. Yeah.
If at least a visual is there, maybe not all of the information, but if a wrapped vehicle, that would be great.
Yes. The vehicles look great. We're excited, and I think it'll really re-excite the community on, you know, newer vehicles, designs. People will actually recognize Calhoun is out on the road providing service, even if it is a slow transition through all of those vehicles. So obviously we want to focus on providing service, and that means we can't like hold the whole fleet in and wrap them all in 2 days. So it's going to be a slow process, but you know, at least one by September 20th, hopefully. And then my goal is to have one of each vehicle wrapped by our community engagement days. If we can't have one of each type of vehicle wrapped, then our focus will be on that RC Flex style vehicle.
Yeah, there is a parade, so that would be,
Are we, usually the registration for any parade is happening probably now?
it is.
Are
$50
we,
last year, wasn't it, to enter? the
Yes.
parade?
so,
Yeah, we'll connect with Vivian and obviously we would have to make sure staff is available on that date to be able to drive the vehicle. Yeah, we'll get with you after the meeting
Okay.
and see what we
Yeah,
need.
need to at least, let them know that we're interested, so they will hold a space for us.
Okay.
okay.
Yes. Any other questions on the marketing?
It's exciting. Thank you.
I'm excited. I can't wait.
Really should be going out today, and then that will direct people to the updated website. Yeah. Thank you.
Okay. Steve, update on expanded BC Go service.
So we're continuing to see a little bit of growth in Albion, which is nice. We have performed some additional trips in the city of Albion, but we do continue to see Albion residents wanting to travel to Battle Creek. I know last week we just performed a trip from Albion to Battle Creek for a family of 4, which was nice to see. On the platform, we are continuing to schedule that vehicle in advance in Albion, so it's opening up 2 weeks in advance, and then it's just for trips in Albion. On the day of, we're letting that vehicle open up to countywide as well. So we're still matching those trips that have been booked in advance in Albion, but now we're taking advantage of that vehicle that if there wasn't any trips needed that day in just that city, we're opening it up to the 4 other cities. And then now that's matching those Albion residents to let them come into Battle Creek or even Marshall. So we are seeing growth with that. So that's really exciting. Looking forward to what it looks like when there's more than one vehicle operating throughout that area too. Any questions for that? All right.
Awesome. I see BC Go everywhere now.
I
I'm
do
like,
too.
Oh,
It was
BC
just
Go.
behind
Me too.
the new one. Yeah.
Exciting.
Great. Thank you, Christy.
Yes.
Moving on to new business, the Manor statement of work.
Thank you. In front of you, you have a resolution that would provide me the authority to execute the statement of work provided by Maynard Costerison. So as Maya mentioned, we saw demos of some financial products that obviously we need accounting software in order to move forward. And in this transition period, we've been working with Maynard Costerison to transition those responsibilities away from the board and allow the board to focus on governance again and shift those activities to staff. So we are working with Maynard Costerison to set up chart of accounts and establish, for example, GL codes, right? On how things get coded and build out our financial system. The resolution would approve the statement of work as presented, and I'll go through that briefly. So the software that is recommended is called Intact by a company called Sage. This software will do all of our general accounting as well as requisitions and purchase orders. It also has the ability to do fixed asset tracking. And then most importantly, it manages grants and allows us to tie grants back to assets and GLs. So one of the things that we talk about often is how our grant accounting is different than most grant accounting because we're reimbursement based. And because we're going to be operating in both a rural environment and an urban environment, we needed a software that could do allocations of those costs. So breaking out a percentage of those fees and services to be a rural expense versus an urban expense because they're reimbursed at different rates. So as we were going through the different systems, that was something that we paid close attention to. The statement of work includes all of Maynard Costerison's fees that would be associated with implementation, training, actually building out the entire system. So The good news is that we don't have data that really has to be migrated over because there is no existing system. Maynard Custerson will work with us to enter any historical data that currently exists that Maya and Amy have been managing, but that's minimal. So we don't have to worry about data loss or data integrity during this transition as you would if you were transitioning from one accounting system to another. The Maynard Custerson team has also made some recommendations for some add-ons modules that can be added on at other times. We've chosen only really to go with that grant tracking one right now. And then once we become more operational, we'll look at what some of those other ones look like. Our focus is on accounts payable and accounts receivable, general accounting, and then grant tracking and grant management. And so that's what's included in this proposal. The annual subscription that would continue after year one is just shy of $30,000. And we asked them what the annual increase in that cost has been, and they said between 5 and 10%. So each year we would expect that roughly $30,000 to increase 5 to 10%. Now, the license fees that are associated with that are based on users, the number of users within the system. And so internal staff, we would have business users, and then we would have read-only users. Our treasurer would have the access to read and run reports, and staff would have access to enter data and manage the accounts. The end user can make their own dashboards. So we can create, for example, a board dashboard where you could easily log in and see a general overview of where things are at, and then allows us obviously to run reports that we would then present to you as those financial statements at each board meeting. The initial startup fees, that is a little bit more, and that's $33,000 for year one. That's not a recurring cost. So the total cost of implementation is about $62,000 for year one, and that's what your resolution would be approving. Are there any questions?
Does FTA or MDOT approve of this, or do we care what they approve or not approve?
Yeah, nope, they don't really sign off on anything. Federal Transit Administration, they are more of a reviewer after the fact. So they don't give you a lot of guidance or answer a lot of questions beforehand. They'll tell you during your triennial review that you did it wrong. But we're confident we did the RFP process, and we're confident that we're able to move forward with this.
Do any of the other transit agencies use this software?
Yes, there are 3 other systems in the state that use this. Yep.
Then a question that relates to the budget and to this. Does TACC have to use the state chart of accounts?
So no, we can develop our own chart of accounts. But we did ask them to kind of mirror those chart of accounts. I think there's a meeting today where they would like us to go over some of those, but we did ask them to mirror that to the state's revenue and expense manual just for our ease of reporting. Right now, our GLs don't necessarily align with what we report to the state. And so we have to kind of go through and piecemeal stuff together and lump them together. We've asked Maynard Custerson to develop those GLs to match what we already have to report to the state.
For the resolution, we talked earlier about the presiding,
Yeah.
presiding over this, and then the third whereas it has intact spelled, it needs one more C. It's
Okay.
based on the statement of work. It's INTACCT, like
Okay.
account. And
Yep.
in the, yeah, so just wanted to point that out. But
Thank you.
it's a great program.
It is.
From what we saw.
We're really excited. After seeing the demonstration of it in action, we're very excited.
Yeah, I bet. Good stuff.
So you would, if the board approves, you would just need a motion to approve the resolution.
Thank you.
Thank you.
I'm excited.
Yep.
Support.
Any other discussion or questions? I can't remember if our bylaws require a roll call vote on expenditures, or can we just do voice votes? So we have a motion and a second. All in favor of accepting the statement of work, say aye.
Right?
Aye. Opposed? We have a statement of work.
Hey. I'm so excited.
Moving on to the 2026 budget. I had to look at what that year, I always confused.
So in front of you, you have a broad overview of the fiscal year 2026 proposed budget. And this is the budget that would be effective October 1st. This budget represents our ramping up. So, it wasn't reasonable for us to assume we would be at full operations by by the end of this fiscal year. So we've estimated about where we think we could be by the September 30th of 2026, and that's what this budget represents. You'll notice that it's broken down into urban and rural. And as I mentioned before, that's because it's our reporting requirements are different, the reimbursement rates are different, and our methodology for that cost allocation is based on hours of service. So based on where we expect the service to be and the number of vehicles, we're using overall hours of service, and then we take the hours of service provided in the rural area, the hours of service provided in the urban area, and those percentages, and apply those percentages to the budget as our cost allocation methodology. That methodology has already been approved by MDOT, and our budget is being submitted to MDOT today. One thing I do want to bring to your attention is that I've shared with you, I estimated conservatively at 30% MDOT reimbursement. At our public transportation conference last year, MDOT notified us that that percentage is actually going to be closer to 28.94%. The bad news of that is that that did not include the TACC budget. So we expect that percentage to maybe even go a little bit lower. Because that percentage is based on expenses, the way I always explain it is that in order to cut expenses, you have to cut about $1.30 for every dollar that you need to cut. And that's because our revenues are based on expenses. So if we cut our revenues or we cut our expenses, our revenues also go down. And so I have not made any drastic changes to the budget or to our anticipated service levels at this point based on the state's assumptions, because the state has not adopted a budget yet. So once we have a more solid idea of where that number actually comes in, which hopefully will be by the end of September, we could make any budget adjustments or budget amendments, but I still feel confident that we're sitting in an okay spot on this budget. You'll notice that we have a line for expenses and then eligible expenses. So things like depreciation, certain post-employment benefits, those things are not eligible for reimbursement. And so we have to subtract those out from our expenses, and we only get reimbursed for the expenses that are eligible. So something to keep in mind, that's where that local fund comes in to fill the gap. Our millage comes in to fill the gap there. And those same ineligible expenses apply to the federal reimbursements as well. Our passenger fares have been adjusted to reflect more of what we've been discussing about the fares. So from our original anticipated budget to now, and what I believe our service level would be able to be, our passenger fares represent that. Our 5311 revenues, that's only for our rural service, that represents an 18% reimbursement. And then advertising and other non-transit revenue are things like, when we sell advertising space on the side of the vehicle or inside the vehicle, when we scrap a vehicle or sell surplus supplies, those things go into other non-transit revenue. And then our federal section 5307, that only gets applied to our urban service. So that would be the methodology that we were talking about. You'll see that broken out in both the revenues and the expenses. We will have a budget workshop, the first meeting in September that we would have normally had a board meeting. We're going to replace that with the budget workshop, and we'll use that time to dive deeply into the budget, answer any questions you might have. And I hope that at that time we have a more final number from the state to be able to adjust our budget before you formally adopt it at the second meeting in September. The environment of our grants and how we operate, I've shared many times, is confusing. And there's oftentimes we're well into the fiscal year before we even know what our budget is going to be for revenue on the federal side. And then obviously we're down to the wire on the state side this year. Normally in a better political environment, we would have this finalized by early August. So traditionally, the state has their budget together by the beginning of August. So this year is a new one for us, but we have time to make some adjustments as necessary.
I have a question.
Yes, ma'am.
You explained that very well and obviously have a very thorough knowledge of it, but I couldn't write as fast as you were talking. No. Okay. You mentioned something about $1.30 and $1. Is it $1.30 in revenue for $1 in expenses or the other way around? I was trying to
So
capture it tonight.
in order to cut $1, you actually really have to cut $1.30. And that's because your revenue is based on your expenses. So if we're estimating lower revenues or our final revenue numbers are going to be less than what we budgeted and we needed to make a budget adjustment or reduce expenses, reducing those expenses also ends up reducing our revenue because our revenue is based on a percentage of our expenses. So in order to cut $1, you actually have to cut about $1.30 in order to find the balance.
Okay.
Yep.
Thank you for.
You're welcome.
Yes. As you are rolling out the vehicles or in terms of marketing, I've had several business owners to contact me to say that they would like to advertise in the
Yes.
bus. Is there any idea in terms of when the applications or the process will be rolled out?
Yeah, so we actually have a contract already. That contract will transfer over to the authority. We use a third party to sell advertising space, and then we have basically a revenue sharing program with them.
Mhm.
So that company is called Mesmerize. They go out, they sell space on our vehicles, and then we share that revenue with them. So we have a minimum annual guarantee. So they guarantee us at least $40,000 a year in revenue. Anything over that, we get. Anything below that, they're required to make up. So they could, any business interested in advertising, we can connect them with Mesmerize. Mesmerize does creative design as well if somebody needs help creating an advertisement to put on the vehicle. And then they hire a third party to come actually put that advertisement on the vehicle. So it's really hands off for the business. They just have to sign the agreement with Mesmerize. We approve that advertisement. So we always sign off on whatever that creative might be, as long as it fits within our advertising policy, which will be coming to you for you guys to adopt an advertising policy. And then Mesmerize sends us the checks.
So for the individual communities, what do you think the process will be? Should we work with the Chamber of Commerce and schedule maybe a meeting in the Albion area and Battle Creek area, wherever?
We
to
could-
see who may be interested.
You could do that. And we could even put information on the website that is, directs people on how to contact Mesmerize to get advertisements on the vehicle.
Can I ask another question?
Yeah.
Sometimes you see budgets that are balanced. you
Yeah.
know, Revenues equal expenses and sometimes you don't. And so I was just wondering if you would speak to that a little bit.
Yes, so we will get into a little bit more of the recommended millage rate at the workshop.
Okay.
This budget represents a full millage levy, the full 2.66 mils, which is why you see revenues over expenses. I have asked Maynard Costerison to develop a net position policy, and that policy would come to this board at the September meeting for approval. That would kind of set your baseline for what the board wants to see as far as fund balance, minimum fund balance. Keeping in mind that we have to operate and then reimburse ourselves, ensuring that we have enough fund balance to operate should a government shutdown happen or a delay in federal or state grants happen. We want to ensure that we have enough local funds to be able to continue operating service while we wait for those state and federal grants to come in. This budget represents our attempt to start building that fund balance. Obviously that communication to the community is going to be important. And so I plan on diving into that at the workshop.
Okay, great. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Mallory, can you walk through what we need to do here for the budget? You're planning the full board to have a workshop in 2 weeks. You're going to have the finance committee meet to work through any bugs initially.
Yep.
Ahead of that.
Correct.
Do we today need to set a public hearing for the budget, or do we need a public hearing for the budget?
We can accept the budget or formally adopt the budget at the September 23rd meeting.
We don't have to do a public hearing like city government does.
Yep.
Okay.
So the finance committee will meet before the workshop. The full board will meet at the workshop to go over the budget. And then the September 23rd meeting, the board would take action to approve the budget.
Okay.
Some of the other financial policies that'll be coming forward probably in September are some revised purchasing policies, travel policy, that net position policy, and then an investment policy. So as we're working on building that fund balance, also establishing an investment policy to invest that fund balance while keeping it accessible for operations.
So I think what you heard
Wonderful.
today is we're going to have a very, very busy September agenda.
It's going to be very busy.
That's good.
Yeah.
That's what we want. That shows that we're getting where we've been going all this time.
Yes.
If there's any, in particular, if there's anything on the budget, revenue or expense that you have a question about, I'm happy to answer those or make a note to go deeper into that at the workshop. Some of the things we talked about, I know Maya, you had asked previously about our membership with some of the community organizations or state or national organizations. So one of the things that we have to keep in mind is that being a governmental agency and being federally funded, we can't engage in advocacy or lobbying. And so you'll see it's 55,009 ineligible association dues. Those ineligible association fees or dues represent the percentage of our dues or time or expenses that are allocated for lobbying. So those are not an eligible expense. We can't be reimbursed for those, and that's why those are broken out as one of those ineligible items. So we belong to several organizations, memberships with CTAA, APTA, the state association, and then even our chambers that we're members of, ensuring that we understand what percentage of those membership dues may be used for lobbying and ensuring we back those out. All right.
Thank you.
Thank you, guys.
Thank you.
Okay. Moving on, public comments on non-agenda items. Marcia? Second, so, okay. We don't have anybody, any of our consultants online, Matt, do we? Clark? Maybe that would be a good time for, well, do we have them on?
We have D.
We have them later on, so we'll have them speak later. Okay, on to board and executive director comments. Let's start with executive director. Any additional comments that?
My only comment is that I am going on vacation. I'm leaving tomorrow. I will be gone for a week, but Christy and Brendan you're in good hands, and if you need anything, please reach out to them.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Enjoy your vacation. Say it today.
Much deserved.
Yes, yes.
In another 2 years, for another 2 years. Okay, the board, any communications, things from your community that, about TAC that, the rest of the board needs to know about? Sounds neat.
The only concern that was shared is, the last couple of meetings you mentioned, and I don't remember the title, but the person like a coordinator, a service worker to work out problems if we aren't able to do it.
Mobility manager.
The mobility manager. I think that is going to be needed, especially in the smaller communities, because if TAC can't help the recipient or the citizen, then, it would be nice to have someone to help work through their unique problems or medical appointments and things like that. So I've talked with a couple of older people who are really concerned that they can get someplace, but they may not be able to get back from the doctor's appointment or something like that. So that's going to be very helpful.
Okay, and we will make sure, we should have business cards by the community engagement days, which one is going to be in Albion. So, we'll make sure that we have a mobility manager card that people can reach out and schedule those appointments for travel training, whatever it may be. So that's exactly it, right? The coordinator or just like social worker for transportation. It may even be with that individual contacting their medical facility or dialysis center and explaining what transportation options are available and working with that actual dialysis center to reschedule the patient's appointments that fit within the times that transportation is available. So it's
Awesome.
one-on-one. Yeah, we can make things happen in a community setting or in an individual setting. Yep,
All right, thank you.
you're welcome.
Yeah. Legislative
That's
updates. I love doing this.
I know, I'm just gonna call there. The state budget situation is concerning. We have our own local elected officials that have a voice on the transportation committee. And, if you're able to reach out to them and explain the impacts that this could have on the authority and service in Calhoun County, we've had a lot of momentum. We've been very excited, and this would be a setback for us. So, we are able to get up to 60% of our expenses reimbursed based on Act 51. I've never seen 60%, and that would be a significant increase to the state budget. But at least getting us back up to that 35% reimbursement would be significant for the authority. And talking to your elected officials at the state level that have the ability to influence that is important.
Could you give us, because we have so many different reps and senators because we're geographically the way we are, who are on those key committees that affect us?
Yep.
That would be helpful. When we need to, we've got their contact information. That would be,
I will send that out this afternoon.
And then also, our federal reps who, are in those committees that can affect us, that, we know when we see them. That would be, I think, really good to have.
Yeah. Yeah.
In your spare time.
For vacation.
Right. I'll get that out this afternoon.
You can even do it after vacation. I'm nicer than you.
I wanted to add in terms of, their contact, but as well as, talking points.
Yeah.
That for consistency,
Yeah.
as we were speaking with, and some of them come to our local, they have coffee hours and things like that. So the talking points would be very helpful.
Yeah, we can do that.
Good, thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah, Jeff, anything on BCATs you'd like to share with us?
Good morning, all. Jeff Franklin, Director of BCATS, Battle
Hey,
Creek
Jeff.
Area Transportation Study. Good morning. Road updates, you guys like to hear. Two projects that BCATS funded that turned out particularly well and are finished, more or less. Avenue A in the city of Springfield was repaved between Hickman and Helmer, right in front of City Hall and the school down the road. Special pavement markings still have to be put down, but otherwise it looks really nice pavement. In Emmett Township, B Drive North between 6.5 Mile Road and Beetle Lake Road, so near Harbor Creek School District, was recently finished. They did that very quick and good because they received a lot of complaints about how they planned it to be done the week right before school started. So the pavement markings for that are all completed and it's really smooth. And then out here, Marshall Modernization Project is currently seeing major steps forward. They're doing the boulevard between 13 Mile and 15 Mile as we speak. That work is supposed to be done by September 5th. And then they're also rebuilding the bridges for the new interchange over I-69 at Michigan Ave. There was an overnight closure last night, and you could expect overnight closures both tonight and Wednesday night as well. And they should have the bridge beam set and the old bridge demolished in that time frame. So that work is still ongoing. And then you'll get into the BCATS area in the next couple of years when they do between 13 Mile and 11 Mile. So including 11 Mile and I-94 being completely rebuilt. That'll be more exciting from the point of view of what I monitor. Something that's been going on that you might have read about or had paid attention to from a legislative standpoint is Rebecca Curtis. She's the senior engineer for our state's Bureau of Bridges, Michigan Department of Transportation, testified several times in front of the Transportation Committee at Lansing about bridges and what to expect over the course of the next 10 years. There are a series of bridges that, if no funding is identified between now and 2035, will likely close to traffic. It's all part of a long scheme kicking of the can down the road. Many of our bridges, local or state bridges, were built in the same time frame in the 50s and 60s. They were built with 50 to 60-year lifespans before their service life was expected to become critical or need repair or replacement. While we've attempted to repair over the course of many years, most of those lifespans were in essentially 2000 to 2010 and have since gone 15 years over that mark. So there are several points where we just simply don't have the existing funding mechanisms to be able to replace as many as needed. In our area specifically, BCATS area, there are several bridges that theoretically could be on that list. They are currently open, but yet they're in poor or serious or critical condition. Two of the first ones I'll mention are M89 Michigan Ave over the Wabascan Creek that's out in Urbandale, northwest of Battle Creek, and M89 Washington over the Battle Creek River. That's Washington Ave right downtown. Both of those have funding identified within our fiscal year 26-29 TIP for complete replacement. So while they're on the list of that story map that you could go up to on MDOT's website, you don't have to worry about those. We have funding identified. Those are major bridges, if you will. Not to say that prioritization is occurring, and you'll see that as I go down the list. There are a couple other bridges that don't have funding identified for them in the next 4-year plan. M96 Columbia over the Grand Trunk Western Railroad. That's near Skyline Drive. Columbia Avenue goes right over the top of the railroad tracks there. That bridge is in need of replacement. It is in poor condition. and does not have funding identified. Though I would expect that sometime in the 2030 through 2033 range, which would be the next 4 years that we look at, that one would achieve priority and be something that, based on traffic volumes and importance, I would expect to see replaced. An example of a bridge that I don't have the same sort of hope for, the Renton Road Bridge over I-94. That's the southwest corner of the Battle Creek, right before you get into Kalamazoo County. It would be east of Skyline Drive, Columbia Ave interchange at M37. It connects the two pieces of Watkins Road. There's an industrial park, Watkins Road, then it goes over the Renton Road Bridge over I-94, and then Watkins Road goes again. That bridge only sees about 1,200 cars per day use it. And while those 1,200 cars would certainly be impacted, the bridge replacement cost, theoretically, if you were to argue whether or not that deserves priority, it almost seems like MDOT is expecting that one to be closed or to not identify funding for it, maybe even argue for its removal and non-replacement. So there's an example of BCATs, and that's the state bridges. Local bridges that are on this list, this same list from 2025 through 2035 within the BCATS area that would be expected to theoretically close or not see funding identified. Elm Street over the Battle Creek River, that's just east of downtown. We had money to replace the Union Street Bridge over Battle Creek because that one had higher traffic volumes, and that was completed just a couple of years ago. The city of Battle Creek actively, for 3 years straight, has applied to a competitive program with the state to see the Elm Street Bridge over the Battle Creek River replaced, but has not yet been chosen for that. BCATS thinks that that one in particular is deserving of replacement, serves a lot of connectivity for the neighborhoods to the north and south, as well as it's a major industrial corridor there with Michigan Ave just to the south. Another city bridge, local bridge owned by the city of Battle Creek is Burnham Street over the Kalamazoo River. It's in between Riverside, then it goes underneath I-194 and comes back out the other end in a neighborhood before you can kind of make your way back to Dickman and Main Street at that point. But that is a particular bridge that has relatively low traffic volumes, but from an accessibility standpoint is particularly needed. City of Battle Creek, again, applies for the state competitive program to see funding for that bridge replacement, but has not yet been chosen for 3 years straight. Those are two bridges that are in both critical condition and theoretically could close before 2035. We have some others in the BCATS area that are to the south, mainly in Newton Township. I'll go over them real quick. 6 Mile Road over Barnum Creek is just south of B Drive South. Then we have both 10 Mile Road and 12 Mile Road over the Nottawaseppi Creek. And we have J Drive South over the Nottawa Creek. All four of those bridges have very low traffic volumes. The most important one is the first one I mentioned, 6 Mile Road over Barnum Creek, because it's just south of B Drive South, but it's north of the Hickory Hills Mobile Home Park, which means it's an important accessibility route that doesn't have a lot of other options for access to shopping and the city itself. So that one is of theoretical concern for BCATS. And then because of where I'm speaking today about this, I went outside the box, BCATS box, and included a couple of TACC extras. There's one in Marshall, the state bridge, Old 27 over I-94, right at exit 110. That one is in critical condition and does not have funding identified in the next 4 years, though I would expect that MDOT would identify funding, given that it's an interchange bridge. And then out in the city of Albion, your River Street Haven Road Bridge over the Kalamazoo River on the southeast side of town is also in critical condition. And I'm unaware of the city of Albion, like the city of Battle Creek, is applied to the same state competitive program. But with BCAT's overlap of TACC, I'm made to pay attention to both city of Marshall and city of Albion going forward, more importantly. But anyway, the reason I bring that up is that BCATS is currently developing its next long-range plan, which essentially looks at the Battle Creek planning area through 2050 and will include a rather robust chapter where we do quantitative analysis using our travel demand model and actually tell this computerized model that we want to, not necessarily want to, but if these bridges were closed, what sort of traffic impacts would you see? and then how to narrate the effects on people of those traffic impacts. So look for a robust chapter in our BCAT's long-range plan related to that. I tend to think that based on just the natural transition of when we built bridges to when we kicked the can down the road for funding to where we're at now, having such a chapter in a MPO long-range plan is going to become more common because we can't just pull money out of the air and replace everything, not at the same time anyway. So, yeah, not to be disappointing, but it's an interesting idea to look at. And I thought maybe you might have read about it in the papers because everybody's looking at this statewide. But from a BCAD standpoint, or even a Greater Battle Creek TACC standpoint, our concerns, while important for us, are minimal compared to some other. There are other directors of MPOs giving much larger lists to their constituents right now. But not that that forgives us. But anyhow, that's my comments for today.
I have a question, Jeff.
Yeah.
I'll put on my former city engineer hat. Does the bridge committee still exist that chooses and recommends? Because that old bridge committee seemed to be very politically loaded, where certain counties had a lot more influence on what is recommended. Even though you rate them, it's choices, but I just wonder, does that bridge committee still exist?
Not in the same fashion. Yes, it does. And yes, it does some lobbying. The current state output led by Becky Curtis, that senior engineer that's been doing the testifying and giving this bad news. The current state look is to develop a brand new prioritization process specific for bridges, because this problem is not just a 2025 through 2035 problem. Then there's another list of 2035 through 2045 bridges that would theoretically come to expectation for replacement. And then trying to use data-driven approach, travel demand models to be able to determine what priority gets placed on those bridges. But right now it's just a pilot program, and those lobbying groups that you mentioned are attempting to sway how that methodology works. Whereas, you know, I'd like that. Just let's let the data speak for itself.
I can see people who are usually use a bridge once it's closed is going to look to public transit to figure how to get basically sometimes a mile around or more. So, okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Consultants updates. Clark, I hear you're.
I'm here. I don't have a lot this morning. Very good meeting. Things from our perspective are proceeding and progressing quite well. We feel like you are on track for the October 1st key date. Kudos to Mallory and to the staff for the work they've been doing. We are going to concentrate from our perspective on assisting Mallory and team with any additional policies that will need to be in place following the October 1st date. But overall, our sense is that things are progressing very well. The marketing program, I think, is really exciting and coming together well. And the fact that many of you are seeing expanded BC Go service out there in your communities, I think is terrific. And then with King Marketing following up with the work they're doing, it's really exciting going forward for the complete takeover by the TACC. So good work to all of you. Happy to answer any questions if I can, but I think best thing that we did from our perspective is we sent Peter on a cruise, and and if he's listening in this morning, I hope he realizes it's my sense of humor, Peter. So So things look good from our perspective. Thanks.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay. Any other questions that we can, leave that open, just if there's anything else that came up that you want to share before we adjourn. You can see our dates coming up for the workshop, and the board meeting workshop will be again downstairs, board meeting up here. And then Finance Committee, there'll also be a date set up here for the Albion and Battle Creek meetings, community meetings here soon. Any other items for the board? I will then go ahead and adjourn. Thank you very much.